Which job is a lot less fun than most people expect? One occupation that can be a lot less enjoyable than many people anticipate is working as a preschool teacher, particularly with the new COVID-19 regulations in place. It's not an easy task to try and implement social distancing guidelines with 3-year-olds, and it can make the job more challenging and less enjoyable than people might imagine. As a parent, it's understandable to question how 3-4-year-olds can be expected to wear masks and practice social distancing, especially with the possibility of school cancellation if there's another spike in cases. In fact, the difficulties of implementing these regulations with young children may make some parents opt for homeschooling until their child is ready for kindergarten. One job that can be a lot less enjoyable than most people would think is working at BuildABear. Although it's heartwarming to see children so happy, the job can be quite frustrating and weird. The company is quite strict, and the challenging moments can be pretty rough. While the job has its positive moments, it may not be as enjoyable overall as people might expect. The store experience at BuildABear can often involve parents experiencing sticker shock as they try to convince their kids to opt for cheaper options. It's common to go in with the intention of making a $35 bear, but end up walking out having spent $150 on a bear in a full tuxedo with a skateboard and construction helmet. Being a forensic scientist is a job that's often glamorized in popular media, but the reality of the work can be a lot less exciting than people expect. While it's great that others find my profession intriguing, it's depressing that it's often the only thing people want to talk about on dating apps. In truth, the work is highly technical and can be quite routine, which can make it less stimulating than it might seem on TV. I think both archaeology and forensic science are often seen as exciting and glamorous jobs. As an archaeologist, I often find myself struggling to keep people engaged in conversation without overwhelming them with technical terms. One job that's often seen as fun and glamorous but is actually a lot less enjoyable than people expect is professional photography, particularly owning a photography business. While you may have started out simply wanting to take pictures, the reality is that you often have to deal with difficult clients and requests that can suck the love right out of your work. From entitled customers who want free shoots and extra services to dealing with legal issues and disappointing results at Bridal Expo, being a professional photographer can be a very challenging experience. I've encountered clients who refused to honor the contract and didn't pay me after their wedding, and I had to hold their photos until payment was made. Some clients also demand too much for too little, such as a couple who wanted a full set of photos for free plus a reshoot for free. And when clients you've worked with before come back and try to get more for less, like Karen who wanted me to photograph her friend's daughter's destination wedding for free. Other times, it's a matter of dealing with unreasonable requests, like the entitled mom who wanted me to photograph every day of her newborn's first year of life for only $100. As a former park ranger, I have to say that it's not all fun and games like people might think. Sure, there were days when I got to talk about cool animals while wearing my ranger hat, but a lot of the job involved dealing with less glamorous tasks like cleaning overflowing toilets and stirring septic tank filters with a shovel. On top of that, I had to handle situations like convincing methed-out individuals to leave the park without causing any harm. And all of this for a salary of just $26K divided by year, even with a college degree. I couldn't agree more with your experience as a former park ranger. It's a job that requires a lot of hard work and dedication, often dealing with tasks that people don't realize come with the territory. I was once considering pursuing that job after my time in the military. Working in a flower shop can be quite a tedious and exhausting job, despite what people might think. While some days may be enjoyable, it's still essentially a retail job with the added pressure of making sure flowers are properly cared for and arranged. Additionally, helping families choose funeral flowers can be emotionally taxing and not at all fun. I can relate to your experience of working in a flower shop. I used to work in a florist shop during college, and while it seemed like a fun and romantic job, it was far from it. People often come into flower shops with high expectations and a limited budget, which can create a lot of pressure to meet their needs while also ensuring the flowers are cared for properly. I remember many long hours spent arranging flowers and dealing with difficult customers, often in a fast-paced environment. As a zookeeper, I gotta say, it's a pretty cool job to be around all these incredible animals and tend to their needs. However, let me tell you, the odors in the zoo are off the charts nasty. Even though I have a strong stomach, it's still a struggle for me to cope with it, and we've had interns who had to bail because of it. When I first got into this line of work, I thought I was prepared for it because I volunteered at animal shelters, but boy, was I wrong. I couldn't agree more. I've been a zookeeper for a decade now and recently got promoted to department director. It's surprising how many new keepers and interns struggle with the smell factor. I constantly have to remind them that cleaning up otter poop is just part of the job. And yes, it's slimy and smells like rotten fish, that's how otters are. And no, you can't take a 3-hour break just to shower because you accidentally slipped in cheetah diarrhea. Puke. Just wipe it off and get back to work. The smells are ridiculously, insanely foul. Being an airport baggage handler may seem exciting since you get to explore parts of the airport that most people don't get to see and even drive around the airfield in your spare time to check out some of the fancy private jets. However, let me tell you, it's tough work. The hours are long, and you have no social life because you spend your days off trying to catch up on lost sleep. The pay is terrible considering the hazardous nature of the job. Loading bags onto the plane isn't as easy as some people think. Some of the bags are loaded individually by hand and can weigh over 30 kilograms. Imagine stacking over 200 bags in a cramped space that's so small you can't even kneel if you're tall. On top of that, the job involves putting coffins into the hold of the plane when someone is being sent home to be buried. I recently had to tie down the coffin of a 2-year-old baby, and it was an emotional experience that left me in tears. So, the next time you're packing for your vacation, remember the people who work hard to ensure that your bags and loved ones arrive safely at your destination. I can only imagine the weight of the responsibility that comes with handling people's personal belongings and the added emotional toll of handling coffins. It takes a special kind of person to handle such a difficult job with care and compassion. We should never forget the people behind the scenes who work tirelessly. As a game master at an escape room, the job is far less enjoyable than most people expect. Sure, you get to see people have fun and enjoy themselves, but it's the same routine every single day, resetting the same puzzles, giving clues, and dealing with the same types of people. The customers can be a handful, ranging from argumentative families to rowdy college kids who have been drinking. Some people even break things or touch items that are off limits despite being warned not to. It's frustrating having to deal with people who don't listen or follow instructions. And if something gets damaged during one group session, you have to scramble to fix it before the next group comes in. It's a high-pressure job that requires a lot of patience and endurance. As someone who has enjoyed many escape rooms, I never considered what it would be like to work as a game master. I appreciate your candid insight into what the job is like behind the scenes. It's easy to assume that it's all fun and games, but the reality is much different. As a kid, I always dreamed of working in a chocolate factory. I imagined being surrounded by mountains of delicious treats and being able to indulge in chocolate all day. But when I finally got the chance to work at one, it turned out to be a complete nightmare. Instead of the heavenly aroma of chocolate, all I could smell was the pungent odor of raw cocoa powder and cockroaches crawling around. The factory only produced industrial chocolate in huge, boring cube shapes, and all the fun stuff happened at a different location. The job was not only monotonous, but it was also filthy and disgusting. I only lasted 2 weeks before I had to get out of there. Even now, the scent of chocolate still brings back haunting memories of my time in that factory. When I visited Hershey Pa as a kid, I remember being overwhelmed by the smell of chocolate. It was so strong and nauseating that I couldn't imagine how anyone could tolerate it every day. Beekeeping can be tougher than most people imagine. Despite being a rewarding job, it has its challenges. First off, the constant buzzing sound during hive inspections and swarm removals can be unnerving. Plus, you have to wear the protective suit in scorching hot weather for long hours, which can be a real hassle. Moreover, a significant number of beekeepers are allergic to bees, so carrying an EpiPen is crucial. It's a job that requires dedication and hard work, but it's all worth it in the end. Going into beekeeping when you're allergic to bee stings doesn't seem like a smart choice. Why take such a risk? Being a character performer at Disney can be a lot less fun than most people expect. Despite the amazing perks and magical moments, the day-to-day work can be incredibly exhausting in ways you never thought possible. The guests can be ridiculously abusive, saying and doing things you never imagined. Your experience largely depends on your leadership, and the company isn't always great. In addition, there's a lot of pressure on your appearance, which can be emotionally draining. While it's good to maintain a certain level of fitness and appearance, it can also be depressing when it's the sole focus of your job. One of the biggest downsides is the lack of upward mobility. Most people grow out of it, and it can be tough to know that one day you'll get too old or too fat and have to start over in a new career field. As a result, you're constantly thinking about what you'll do when you leave or how you'll keep yourself there. Personally, I knew that being a character performer at Disney would be temporary, so I now only work there seasonally while I pursue a normal career. However, Disney has a way of sucking you in, and it's important to weigh the pros and cons before committing to this job. In the past, local schools used to have grad night celebrations at Disneyland. Sadly, during one such event, a group of rowdy boys decided to physically assault Mickey Mouse. To make matters worse, the performer inside the Mickey Mouse costume happened to be a female that night. As a result of this appalling incident, the school was banned from Disneyland for 10 years. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Answerly Stories for more interesting real-life stories.